everyone, it's Christina Johnson here, transformational nutrition coach and founder of the Emerge Weight Loss Program. And today's video is going to be really helpful for you if you feel like a lack of consistency has ever stopped you from losing weight, maintaining weight, or just reaching your health goals of any form. Honestly, I talk with hundreds of women about their health and weight loss goals. And one of the biggest obstacles that they see, and they tell me over and over again, is that they're just not consistent enough. And that's what's stopping them from losing weight and keeping it off. So I'm curious, put a me in the comments if you can relate to that. If you feel like that lack of consistency is stopping you from actually getting results. And it can show up and look like several different ways. I mean, for some people, it's that they can eat really well for a few days and then they give in to temptation and they eat one cookie or cupcake or whatever it might be. And then they feel like they've blown the whole diet and then they get off track. For some people, they do really well Monday through Friday, but then on the weekends, they feel like their consistency is gone. And then all the work they did through the week, it just comes back on over the weekend. For other people, maybe it's exercise. They can exercise really consistently for weeks, but then they get out of their routine or it's really busy at work. And then all of a sudden they stop exercising. So whatever it is, there's just a variety of ways that we can stop being consistent with our habits. And that can really stop us from making progress towards our health and weight loss goals. So again, let me know, just put a me in the comments if you can relate to this at all, if this has been an issue for you. And so what I'm going to do, because so many people have told me that this is an issue, I am going to dive deep into this issue of consistency all month long, so all month of October. And I've planned out a 5-part video series where each week I will talk about one specific aspect of consistency. I'll go over in each video one of the pitfalls that could be stopping you from being consistent, and then talk about some practical ideas on steps you can take to avoid that pitfall and become more consistent. And so if you pay attention to these 5 videos all month long, I'll post one every week. I think you're going to get a lot of ideas and insights on things that you can do to start being consistent. And my goal, my hope is that you would start seeing some benefit of that you would start seeing some change and some more consistency in your habits by the end of this month. So we are going to dive into the first topic, which is that for a lot of people, what I see and what the research shows is that people tend to be more inconsistent if they don't have support. And this, I'm going to go over in just a minute a study that really lays this out pretty clearly. But over and over again, it really does seem that for the majority of people, when they have support, they are so much more likely to be consistent and to reach their goals. And so I want to just go over today a few reasons why that support is so crucial. And then I'm going to give you some practical ideas on steps that you can take to put that into place for yourself so that you start seeing some results and are more consistent with your goals. So let's start with 3 reasons why you shouldn't do it alone. And this first one I think is a really big one, and it's the isolation trap. And so here's what happens. What I see is that when you are wanting to make a healthy lifestyle and you're wanting to, start, changing your habits, you're kind of at this fork in the road, and there's these 2 paths. And the first path is the one that the majority of Americans are on. So this path is crowded. There are lots of people on this path. And it's, the majority of Americans who are getting fast food often, that are eating a lot of packaged, processed, convenient foods. It's the one bringing in all the goodies and treats to work and to all the church events and social gatherings. So this first path is crowded and it is filled with unhealthy eating habits, unhealthy lifestyle habits. And if we're honest, if we just kind of look around, that's the path that a lot of Americans are on. And so when you're at this fork in the road and you decide, I want to do things differently, I want to lose weight, I want to be healthier, you're saying you want to get off that path that most people are on and you want to start a new path. This other path, it's a lot quieter. It is not nearly as crowded. There are people on it, but they're harder to find. You might see some people way up the road. You might see people behind you. There's not a lot of people around you that are on this path. And this is the path where people are choosing to make healthy choices. They're maybe eating clean. They're not eating out as often. And when they eat out, they're making the healthy choices. They're saying no to the foods that are offered at work that aren't healthy. They're exercising. They're making their health a priority. And here's the issue. When you're going it alone, you can feel really lonely on that path because everybody around you might be doing things differently. You might be looking at them and seeing all the fun you're missing out on and the food you're missing out on. And so when you're all alone and you don't have people around you, it is really hard to stay on that path. And so what tends to happen is if you're alone on that path, it's really easy to drift back and to get on the other one because that's where everybody else is. And so that isolation trap, it is real. And I've talked to a lot of women who are going through a merge who notice that at first because, some people, they get frustrated that our world isn't set up for clean eating and whole foods. I think it's getting more. I think we're getting more and more people in that direction. But it's still not the majority at this point. So I'm curious, have you ever felt lonely? Like when you're trying to make changes and to be healthier, do you ever feel like you're kind of doing it alone? And does that ever make it hard to be consistent? Because what happens on that path then is that people throw obstacles in our way and we need to figure out how to navigate them, and it can be challenging. So that's one difficulty of doing it alone, is that you are alone and the majority of people are not making the healthy choices. The second issue is the lack of accountability. So when you are, trying to make changes all on your own, and if there is no support, if there's no one you're talking to or holding you accountable, sometimes it's really easy to make the unhealthy choice because we don't need to tell anyone. If nobody even knows what you're doing, if nobody knows you're trying to eat healthy, if nobody knows that you're not wanting to eat sugar right now, if you do it, you're not letting anyone down. You're not disappointing anyone. And of course, it's not about disappointing other people, but there is that extra little incentive that comes from that external accountability. And so if you're doing it all alone and you don't have any external accountability, you don't have anyone checking in on you, encouraging you, it can be easy to give in the moment. And that creates this lack of consistency. And then the third reason why it can be challenging to do it alone is the lack of emotional support. So if we are honest, the journey to losing weight and to being healthier, it has its ups and downs. There are definitely challenging times. There's times where you might feel discouraged. Like maybe you step on the scale and you think you've been, doing so well and that number should go down and then it doesn't. And so you feel discouraged. Maybe there's days where you just don't feel motivated, or life is just so busy or stressful that you just want to eat to feel better. There's all these emotional challenges that can come up during the weight loss journey. And without someone to help you during those times, to have support, those emotional challenges can really set us back. And they can create that lack of consistency because there will be the days you don't feel discouraged and motivated, and it just gets us off track. And so those are, three main reasons why I feel like it's so challenging to go on this health and weight loss journey alone. Because one, you are kind of alone. You're an island. You're making these healthy choices on your own, and everybody else might be doing their own thing. Two, without that accountability, it's hard to keep doing it all on your own. And three, it's just without emotional support, it's challenging. So let's look at the benefits then of having some support. I've recently been reading a book, The 12-Week Year, and it talked about an article that looked at some studies, and it was really interesting, and so I want to share it with you. So it looked at some studies with people who were diagnosed with severe medical conditions. So basically, they were required to change their lifestyle, otherwise they were headed towards death. So these were people who were very, very motivated to make lifestyle changes because it truly was for them life and death. So the studies looked at these people, and there was a group who, were told to make these lifestyle changes. And after 12 months, only 10% of them were still making the changes. 90% of the people had reverted back to their old habits and lifestyle, which that's huge. And I think that just highlights how difficult it can be to change our lifestyle. Because even for these people who were highly motivated, who their life was on the line, 90% were not successful at maintaining the consistency to keep new lifestyle habits. But then there was another group. There was another group who had some peer support. And in that group, 80% were successful. So 80% were successful at changing their habits and only 20% were unsuccessful. So that's a huge, huge indicator about the power of having support. Even when you're motivated and committed, it can be difficult to do it alone. But with support, it dramatically increases your chance of success. And so the lesson for all of us here is that when you are trying to implement big changes, don't do it alone. And it's really easy to think, well, okay, but I'm different. Like this was my first thought when I was reading this. I'm like, okay, but I'm pretty motivated. I'm pretty like type A. I can follow through. I can get things done. I could do it on my own. But the reality is, as I've looked at my life over the last few years, I have seen the most success in the areas of life where I have sought out support of some sort. So if you're thinking, okay, that's great, but I can probably figure it out on my own, I've just challenged you to think about like what makes you different than all these people that had life-threatening medical conditions. I truly think that most of us will thrive, will do better, will get better, faster results with support. And there's a few reasons for that. So I just want you to think about some of these reasons. The first reason is that you just don't feel so alone. There's something really powerful about knowing that you're not in it alone, that there's other people who are also struggling to lose weight. It's interesting, in the Emerge weight loss program that I run, we have small groups every week. And so often people will tell me that is the favorite part. The program includes lots of things, but so often those small group meetings every week is their favorite part. And over I hear them say, wow, like, I didn't realize that it's not just me that felt that way, that other people struggle with it too. And so there's a lot of encouragement that comes when you build that sense of community with other women who are trying to make the same changes as you, and they get how difficult it is. They struggle too, but you're in it together. Like there's something really powerful about that motivates change. In addition, I think too, having support, you get this collaboration. You get to share ideas and tips. I think one of the roadblocks sometimes to going alone is that we get so stuck in our way of thinking. We have our way of seeing the world. We have our way that our brain works and problem solves. But what if other people have lots of value to add too? What if other people think about things differently? Think outside of your box. There's a lot of power in, let's say nighttime snacking. You struggle with giving up nighttime snacking, and you've tried everything that you know. But what if somebody else has a different idea that they've tried and it worked? There's a lot of power in learning from other people, sharing ideas, sharing tips, sharing resources. And sometimes those other things are like the thing that we need to really be able to change. So being able to share ideas and collaborate is really powerful and can help with consistency, because you can brainstorm new solutions that maybe you wouldn't have thought of on your own. The third thing that I think having support helps with is the encouragement through setbacks. So I talked about that earlier. It is so normal when you're on a health and weight loss journey, or when you're creating a healthy lifestyle, you will have times of setback. I see it often when, women go on vacation or during the holidays, or maybe it's like a really busy season at work or with their kids. It's easy for that to disrupt your routine, and then you get off track. And so what happens for a lot of people when they're trying it on their own, and I know this because I talk with women who've tried this, is they said, they went on vacation, for example, they got off track and they were going to get right back on track after vacation, but then, they were trying to settle back in and life got crazy. And so what ended up happening is it took, months to get back on track. I remember talking to one woman who was doing really, really well with her health and weight loss goals for, I don't know, like months and months. And then summer hit, it was a busy season at work, and she just got off track. And then we talked 6 months later, and she had not gotten back on track, and she had started gaining weight. And so having encouragement during the setbacks is really, really helpful, because here's what I think we need to expect. There will be setbacks on your health and weight loss journey. You won't do it perfectly all the time. But when you have support, what's different is that, let's say you go on vacation, you get off track, but then you're right back on track within a few days. Or after the holidays, you're able to get back on track right after Christmas instead of waiting until the end of January. And so that is what is so helpful about support, is that instead of those setbacks knocking you down and like keeping you stuck and stopping you from being consistent again, the support helps you pick yourself up, get back on track so that you're back to your consistency. And that's what we need. You won't be perfectly consistent all the time, but what we want to make sure is that you are consistent enough, and that when things get off track, you're right back on track. That's really what we want our goal to be. And then the last thing why support is so helpful is the accountability piece. I think ultimately we do all want to be accountable to ourselves, or we need to be. But the reality is that a lot of our brains are wired so that we do better with some external accountability. Having somebody checking in with you, having somebody who will support you when times are tough, who will ask you questions when you're off track, can be really, really helpful. And so that's my encouragement to you, is to hopefully help you see the value of not doing it alone. When you are creating a healthy lifestyle, a new set of habits, a new way of living your life, it is so valuable to have support. And when you have that support, you will start to see that you're able to be more consistent. And that consistency builds, it creates momentum, and then before you know it, you are reaching your goals. So here's some practical ideas for you on how to begin building some of that support for yourself, or to create a support system. I got 3 ideas for you, and we'll kind of do them in levels. So there's different levels of support. There's, like small levels of support with not a lot of commitment, and then there's higher levels. And so let's start with the low level. The first thing you could try is to just engage more in some of these online communities that have support with health and weight loss goals. So obviously, if you're watching this video, most of you are probably watching it in the Clean and Mindful Eating Facebook group. And so that is an area where you could have support. There's thousands of women in this group who are all wanting to lose weight and be healthy. So maybe you could challenge yourself to be more intentional, engage more in the group. Maybe it means commenting more, or, just sharing your own experience. Maybe it means just being intentional to check in the group once a week or so, because, Facebook is Facebook and it's not showing us all these things. So maybe, you pin the Clean and Mindful Eating Facebook group to, your saved groups, and you just check in once a week and just get some encouragement, get some motivation, get some new ideas, get a recipe. And so that's one way to build support, is to seek out, some of these social media or online forms of support. And it's a low level, it's a low commitment, but it's one way that you can get a little bit of support, motivation, and inspiration. Okay, my next idea for you is to find an accountability partner. So maybe that's a friend or family member who has a similar goal to you. And you can be accountability partners for each other. I would highly encourage you, if you take this route, that you want to have regular check-ins with this person, ideally at least once a week. The caveat I have for you here is that you really want to make sure you're finding an accountability partner who is really committed and invested in these goals as well. I will tell you a little quick story. When I was in college, I was trying to work out more. And so I had a friend who was also wanting to work out more. And so we decided we would be workout buddies, so accountability partners, and we were going to work out in the morning. The problem was neither of us were morning people. So I think we went and worked out together maybe 2 or 3 times. And then after that, I can't remember who started it, but one of us would call the other in the morning and be like, how about we just sleep in today and go tomorrow? And I remember I did that once, and my friend was like, okay, let's just wait till the next day. And so before we knew it, like, we had pretty much given up. You know, we weren't working out in the morning. It had happened a few times and very quickly fizzled out because neither of us were fully committed and invested in this. And so that is the drawback to an accountability partner. And just something to watch out for. You really want to make sure if you're choosing this route that you're choosing a partner that will be committed, that will hold you accountable, that will ask you hard questions, that will challenge you and, you know, just truly be there to actually be supportive for you. So that is a second option for finding support. The third one is to consider enrolling or hiring a coach or finding a program that has a high level of coaching and support and accountability in it. And so in that, you know, when you're hiring somebody, you are hiring somebody to be fully invested in you and your goals. And sometimes you are more invested because you're making a financial and time commitment. And so sometimes that raises your level of commitment just by making that official commitment to join a program. And you're working with someone who is fully invested in you and your goals as well. And so things like the Emerge Weight Loss Program. In Emerge, we have private coaching sessions so that you get personalized support and feedback. We have small group coaching calls so that you get to know other women. You get accountability every single week, which is really, really helpful to staying on track and reaching your goals. So that would be the third option. And like I said, it's different levels of support. You can start with just, you know, free online resources like social media, like the Clean and Mindful Eating Facebook group. You can find an accountability partner as long as you find one who's really, truly committed, or you can hire support. You can join a program that is going to give you the coaching and support you need. So kind of a final takeaway is that you don't have to go through this journey alone. And in fact, building a support system can make all the difference in whether or not you reach your goals or whether or not, or how fast you reach your goals. And so if you would like more information about the Emerge program, I'd be happy to offer you a complimentary consultation so we can just talk more about what your goals are and if this would be a good fit for you. So I will put a link to my calendar in the comments. So if you are interested in booking one of those complimentary calls, go ahead, do that, and we'll just talk and we'll figure out if Emerge is right for you or not. And no pressure. If it's not, then, you know, we'll talk through your goals and give you some ideas on next steps to take so that you can be consistent and reach your health and weight loss goals. All right. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below. I will come back and check those. And then be on the lookout next week, I think on Wednesdays. From here on out, I will be going live every Wednesday in October to talk about another practical step you can take to be more consistent with your health and weight loss goals. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day, and we will talk soon.